Have you ever been in the middle of a sentence and the word you need just disappears? A normal word. You can picture the object, you know exactly what it does, but instead you're standing there like, the thing that does the thing, and your brain gives you nothing. Or you walk into a room and you forget why you're there. At first, you brush it off as stress, too much on your plate, not enough time. Your mind is simply overloaded. But then something changes. Even after a decent night's sleep, even on calm days, the fog is still there. And that's when it starts to feel unsettling, like you can't fully trust your mind anymore. And if you're in your late 30s or are in your 40s or 50s, there's a possibility nobody warned you about. Perimenopause. I'm Charity, I'm a pharmacist, and brain fog was a symptom that shook me the most. Not because it was dramatic, it's because it wasn't. It was subtle, quiet, and it chipped away at my confidence in a way that I didn't expect. Because my job depended on my brain. I had to process information quickly, remember details, catch medication errors, answer questions on the spot, make decisions where mistakes could have serious consequences on other people's lives. So when my brain suddenly didn't feel like my brain anymore, I didn't just find it annoying, it scared me. I was now second guessing myself in a job where certainty mattered. And I started noticing a pattern. What I first blamed on stress and then on exhaustion didn't fully explain what I was experiencing anymore. It felt like something deeper was shifting. And eventually, I started wondering if I was burning out or losing something more fundamental, like an early onset of something. So in this video, I want to break down what perimenopause brain fog is, why it happens, and how it differs from conditions like dementia and what you can realistically do about it. What I wish more women were warned about before it happened. First, brain fog is real, and it's not an official medical diagnosis. It's the name women commonly use for a collection of cognitive symptoms, things like struggling to find words, forgetting names, losing your train of thought, having difficulty concentrating, feeling mentally slower, forgetting what you're about to do, having trouble holding several pieces of information in your head at once. And this is extremely common during the menopause transition. Some research estimates that around 60% of women going through menopause transition report memory problems. So if you've been thinking, what's happening to me? I used to be so sharp. You're far from the only woman saying it. Research also suggests that the areas most commonly affected include verbal learning and verbal memory, with possible changes in attention, working memory, and processing speed. In plain English, you may know the information, but retrieving it can suddenly take longer. And that's why one of the classic complaints is, I know the word, I just can't get it out. So what does estrogen have to do with your brain? Most of us grew up learning about estrogen as a reproductive hormone. Periods, pregnancy, fertility, menopause. Your brain responds to estrogen as well. There are estrogen receptors in the brain regions involved in memory, learning, and higher-level thinking, including the hippocampus and the prefrontal cortex. Think of the hippocampus as part of your brain's memory system, and think of the prefrontal cortex as a part of your brain's executive office. It helps you plan, focus, organize, switch between tasks, control attention, and hold information in your mind long enough to use it. Estrogen also interacts with neurotransmitter systems and processes involved in brain metabolism, synaptic communication, and cerebral blood flow. So when the reproductive hormones begin changing during perimenopause, it makes sense that some women notice changes in how their brain feels and function. And here's something important. Perimenopause isn't simply estrogen slowly sliding downward in a nice predictable line. The hormone levels can fluctuate significantly. That may help explain why you can have days that you feel completely normal and other days you feel like your brain has been replaced overnight. That inconsistency is one of the most frustrating parts of perimenopause. But estrogen is probably not the whole story. This is where brain fog gets more complicated. Hormonal changes may be one contributor, but several menopause symptoms can pile on top of one another and make cognitive problems worse. And one of the biggest one is sleep. Imagine you're having night sweats several times a night. You wake up, you throw covers off, you fall asleep, you wake up again, you throw the covers back on, fall asleep, wake up sweating again. You might technically spend 8 hours in bed while getting terrible quality of sleep. Then you wake up at 6 in the morning, expecting your brain to work at full capacity. Of course, you're struggling. We know that sleep problems during perimenopause are associated with cognitive complaints, and hot flashes and night sweats may contribute both directly and indirectly because they can disrupt sleep. So sometimes when women describe brain fog, they may be actually describing a combination of hormonal changes plus fragmented sleep, plus hot flashes, plus stress, plus anxiety, plus mood changes. It's not necessarily one single mechanism, it's several systems colliding at the same time. And then add the reality of being a woman in midlife. This part doesn't get discussed enough. Think about what many women are managing when perimenopause shows up. You're working, raising children, maybe caring for aging parents, managing a household, remembering appointments, paying bills, planning meals, keeping track of everyone's schedule, trying to maintain relationships, trying to exercise, trying to sleep. Wait, what? Sleep again? And then somebody tells you, well, your brain fog is probably just stress. Well, of course you're stressed. But stress and hormonal changes aren't mutually exclusive. Both can be happening. Now let's address the question many women are afraid to ask. Does brain fog mean I'm developing dementia? Now I struggle with this one. And the answer is usually no. Menopause-related cognitive changes are generally very different from the progressive cognitive decline we associate with diseases such as Alzheimer's. Studies have found small but measurable changes in certain areas of cognitive performance during the menopause transition. But for the overwhelming majority of women, performance remains within normal ranges. And importantly, these symptoms often improve as women move through the transition. One useful way to think about the difference is this. With the typical brain fog, you may forget a word, but eventually it comes back. You may forget why you walked into a room, but then remember a few minutes later. Dementia is different. The concern becomes greater when cognitive problems are progressively worsening and interfering with your ability to function independently. For example, you get lost in familiar places, repeatedly forgetting important recent events, and having trouble managing tasks you previously handled easily. Or other people start to notice significant changes in your thinking or behavior. And this is why I don't like simply telling every woman, don't worry, it's just menopause. Because we shouldn't dismiss women in either direction. We shouldn't assume that every cognitive complaint means dementia, but we also shouldn't assume that every cognitive problem in a 48-year-old woman is automatically hormones. There are other things that are worth checking, like thyroid problems, iron deficiencies, vitamin deficiencies, medication side effects, depression. If your symptoms are significant, rapidly worsening, unusual for you, or interfering with daily life, talk to your doctor about it. So, what can you do about brain fog? Number one, protect your sleep. Before buying another supplement promising to boost your brain, look at your sleep, because poor sleep can affect your attention, memory, and ability to function normally. If hot flashes or night sweats are destroying your sleep at night, don't just accept it as part of getting older. Those symptoms can be treated. If you're snoring loudly or waking up gasping, experiencing daytime sleepiness, or waking up unrefreshed despite spending time in bed, ask whether sleep apnea should be considered. And treat sleep as part of your brain health strategy. It's not an optional luxury. Number two, move your body. Exercise benefits far more than the waistline. Physical activity supports cardiovascular health, mood, sleep, and brain health. And remember, your brain is an organ that depends on healthy blood vessels. You don't need some elaborate fitness program. Walking, lifting weights, riding your bike, swimming, all count. Find something you can consistently do, because protecting your heart and blood vessels is also part of protecting your brain. Number three, feed your gut. Fiber and fermented foods. Your gut and brain talk through your immune system, and most of your inflammation starts in your gut. Calm your gut and calm your brain. Number four, reduce mental load. This one sounds simple, but I think women underestimate how valuable this is. Stop forcing your brain to remember everything. Use your phone, use reminders, use calendars, write things down. I have to remind myself of this. Make lists. I used to think needing reminders meant my memory was failing. Now I see it differently. Your brain has limited working memory capacity. If your brain is already dealing with poor sleep, hormonal changes, stress, why waste that capacity remembering that you needed to buy dish soap from the store? Save your brain power for something that matters. Number 5, take care of the basics that protect long-term brain health, like blood pressure matters, cholesterol matters, blood sugar matters, not smoking matters, what you're eating matters, social connections matter, hearing matters. These things may not sound as exciting as a $79 menopause brain supplement advertised on Instagram, but they're much more important for long-term brain health. Midlife is actually a valuable time to start paying attention to these factors. Number 6, talk about your perimenopause and menopause symptoms. And yes, that includes a discussion about hormone replacement therapy when appropriate. Now, I want to be precise here. Hormone therapy is currently not recommended solely as a treatment for brain fog, as a way to prevent dementia. That's an important distinction. However, hormone therapy is highly effective for symptoms such as hot flashes and night sweats in appropriate candidates. So, if severe vasomotor symptoms are repeatedly waking up at night and treating those symptoms help you sleep, you may very well feel cognitively better. That's different from saying take estrogen and your brain fog will disappear. The evidence is not strong enough for me to tell you that. Hormone therapy should be individualized based on your symptoms, age, medical history, risk factors, and personal preferences. Have that conversation with your clinician who understands menopause instead of assuming you either absolutely need hormones or absolutely cannot have them. Here's what I want you to remember. If you're standing in your kitchen, holding your phone, try to remember why you picked it up. You have not suddenly become less intelligent. Brain fog is incredibly common during the menopause transition. Hormonal changes appear to affect brain systems involved in memory and cognition, and those effects can be amplified by poor sleep, hot flashes, anxiety, depression, stress, and everything else happening in a woman during midlife. For most women, these cognitive changes are mild and often temporary. But you also deserve more than someone telling you it's just aging. If your brain doesn't feel like your brain anymore, talk about it. Talk about your menopause symptoms, and if something feels significantly wrong or is getting progressively worse, get evaluated, because brain fog deserves reassurance, but it also deserves to be taken seriously. For me, brain fog changed my life and ended my career. It was a symptom that I could not explain away anymore. But once I understood that perimenopause could affect much more than my period, so many things that I had been experiencing started making sense. This is one of the reasons why I talk about it now, because I don't want another woman sitting at work wondering, why can't I think anymore? I used to be so sharp, without anybody telling her that perimenopause belongs on the list of possibilities. If this sounds like you, tell me in the comments. What was the first brain fog moment that made you realize something had changed? One more thing, you're probably seeing this video because you already know something about perimenopause or menopause and have searched it, so the algorithm knows to put this content in front of you. But think of the woman who has no idea that what she's experiencing could be perimenopause. She doesn't know what she doesn't know. She may never see this information, or she may find it years later after struggling unnecessarily. That was me. So please share this with women you care about, and share it with men too. Yes, men need to be part of these conversations. Partners, husbands, sons, brothers, co-workers. We all benefit when more people understand what women can experience during this transition. If you're navigating perimenopause with me, follow along and subscribe.